We are very excited by this initiative because we think that that could help, in addition to all other initiatives, to unlock massive investment in Africa. Why are we excited? We are excited because of two main reasons. The first one is, even though we have seen increased appetite in Africa in the last years, I think you or me, when we are discussing with some asset owners, even if they want to go to Africa, one question that they still ask is, how are they going to invest in Africa? So we're trying to find out, by taking this initiative, to provide them a response to the how question, how to invest in Africa. We are excited by this because of a second reason as well, which is the fact that we came to the conclusion that investing in liquid proxies only in Africa is definitely not enough. There's a need for us to go beyond the current universe that we are considering. So that's how we want to address those two issues. Why did we do it now? We are doing it now because we believe that Africa is at crossroads. Africa is no longer a simple growth story, in our opinion. We are beyond that. There has been a growth story now for the last 10 to 15 years. We believe that Africa is now entering what we call a transformation story. And that transformation story is more complex than just saying that Africa is about growth. So let me tell you first what Africa 8 is not about. Africa 8 is not about the fastest growing countries on the continent. Africa 8 is not about what has happened in the past. Africa 8 is about what is going to matter in the future for the continent. Africa 8 is about transformation. And we want to believe in the parallel between where Africa is today and the Asian tigers in the 80s. This is something that we strongly believe in too. And I'd like to show you this chart, which is showing you from 1980 till today, the growth that we have seen in GDP per person at PPP on the Asian tigers. We have seen significant growth in all those countries. If you take Africa SSA, the Sub-Saharan Africa GDP per capita at the end of 2013, which is roughly close to 2,400, this is exactly where we are today. And what we are projecting is to see the same level of transformation and growth that we have seen in the Asian tigers from 1980 till today. What is Africa 8? Africa 8, since we are now entering a phase of transformation driven by a complex combination of factors, we have developed this new approach to asset allocation, which we believe capture the countries and drivers that will lead the continent in the future. Africa 8 is 8 countries and 8 investment themes that will drive, in our opinion, the transformation of the continent. The 8 countries are the following: 3 on the west and 5 on the east. Côte d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Angola, and on the east side, Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, and Mozambique. The 8 insights that we have identified as fundamental drivers for the transformation of the continent are the ones that you have here. We believe that rapid urbanization, wealth creation, intra-African investment, the development of the untapped gas reserves in Africa, the agricultural revolution that will take place in Africa, as well as increasing regionalization, innovation, and infrastructure boom, are going to be strong dynamics that are going to be indeed strong enough to weather any market condition. How did we arrive to those 8 countries? Certainly, we leverage a lot from our local knowledge. To do so, we spent the last 9 months considering different criteria: economic criteria, social criteria, as well as discussing with people on the ground to make sure that we are capturing really those countries that are going to transform the continent. We have considered 15 criteria that we can categorize in the 5 different main categories that you have here. And we use data from leading institutions, as well as, once again, making sure that we confirm those data with our local knowledge. How did we identify the insights? The 8 insights that I have shown you, interestingly, they are usually off the radars. We consider those insights because we believe that they are strong enough to weather any market condition, any financial crisis that can hit globally. We have tested empirically those trends to ensure that those are the investment topics, those are the investment themes that will define what is going to be the transformation of the continent. The 8 insights that I have showed you early, I want to spend some time on some of them. We strongly believe in some of those insights. Here are just few examples. The intra-Africa investment theme is something that we strongly believe into. If you take, for example, the pension fund industry, South Africa took a great decision some years ago to allow its pension funds to invest outside of their domestic market. If key countries in Africa follow the same steps, this is going to bring an additional $15 billion into the market. That's a strong investment topic that we believe that we need to follow as an asset manager. Another theme that we're following is the theme about the gas reserves. And this one, in my opinion, is fundamental because we have always talked about the energy gap in Africa. This can provide a solution to that gap. And especially if you are considering countries such as Mozambique or Tanzania, who are close to Asia, you have a potential to clearly address a major market in Africa. This is off the radar. There's a need to emphasize more those major trends that, in our opinion, are going to define the transformation of the continent. A last one that I want to talk about, which is close to my heart, is about the African Revolution. This is something that is critical, and people are not noticing it. Africa has created 8 million paid jobs in agriculture in the last years. If we are able to do some reforms, such as going more into higher value products, such as setting in place value chain financing through commodity exchanges, such as having larger scale farms, we can define and create 14 million paid jobs in agriculture. That dynamics is going on already on the ground. And this is going to be an area for us. This is an investment topic, in our opinion, that we need to focus on. A last one before I go to the next slide, which is about the infrastructure boom. We don't realize it because usually people think about the infrastructure gap. The reality is on the ground is that the infrastructure construction is booming in Africa today. The numbers that we have are very strong. We're expecting to have 180 to 200 billion annually from 2025 only in the infrastructure business. There are today 18 dams that are under construction by China in sub-Saharan Africa. 7 has been completed in the last 3 years. In Ethiopia, Ethiopian Airlines is building the largest cargo center in the world. So those are some of the trends that needs to be captured. And those are some of the trends that are going to define what we call the transformation of Africa. From an asset management perspective now, what are the benefits of Africa Aid? We believe that Africa Aid can help to address, as I have said earlier on, the how to invest question on two levels. Number one, for the newcomers, people who are interested to investing in Africa but are still skeptical about going into country X or country Y. By having access to Africa Aid, they can have a diversified portfolio and get an exposure to the continent. The second benefit of this approach is indeed for investors that are already invested in Africa. What we want to propose to them is an ideal allocation matrix that they can use in guiding their investment in Africa. The ultimate aim of Africa Aid is to set up a Pan-Africa macro fund that will allow us to invest in listed markets, either FX, fixed income, commodities, and equity. Those sectors, those companies, those countries that are going to define the transformation of the continent. I'm very pleased to have presented this to you. We are available to have further discussion on this concept. And once again, I want to thank Stanley for providing this opportunity. Thank you.